For this week's test, get out a blank sheet of paper and a number 2
micro jig, maker of the gripper. Work safer, work smarter.
The holes I'm cutting in these 2 pieces are 2 different sizes. I can glue the faces of these 2 together. So that creates this little ledge for the photograph and the glass. I want this little piece to just sit on that little ledge and just kind of fit comfortably. I'm going to glue it to this larger piece. So with everything dry, these 2 pieces will fit together. This back piece is a little bit thicker than this front piece, so that gives me a little bit of a gap in here that the glass can sit. And then this piece will press it all together. I'm almost out of glue. I've got to go get some more. And a lot of times people kid me about how much wood glue I use. And I do use a lot of wood glue. So last time I bought this gallon of glue, I wrote the date on it. And you can see it was September 2012. So it's been 2 years. So that means I go through half a gallon of glue a year. I've cut out this piece for the blackboard, and it's going to go on the back and then at an angle, so I've drawn where that goes. And I'll just glue this together now too. Wood glue, the most important thing in any wood shop. I'm going to cut this apple out of a single piece of wood, but I've also included the leaves and stem in the plans as separate pieces in case you want to cut them apart separately and layer it. Even though this front is going to have pencils all over it, I'm painting the whole thing with chalkboard paint. I've cut out these little bitty strips to frame out the chalkboard, but before I glue those on, I'm going to paint them brown to make them look like, well, wood. Wood glue doesn't hold very well on painted surfaces like pencils and this frame that I've already painted. So I'm going to glue all these pencils down using epoxy, and to make it easier and to help line them up, I'm going to clamp this board to my workbench. I'm going to put some wax paper here to prevent the epoxy from sticking to that board. And I'll clamp the frame itself in place to prevent it from moving around. This is a quick setting epoxy, so I gotta work fairly quick. It's really important to mix epoxy really well or it just won't stick. It'll just stay sticky. All right, see how quickly I can work on this. Well, they turned out okay, but one thing that I discovered is that that little metal ferrule and the eraser add some diameter to the top of the pencils. So they're a little bit wider at the top than at the bottom. So overall, this gets narrower than the top, but it's not that noticeable. And finally, these little strips. Cut out this piece to be the stand, and I'm going to attach it with a hinge. I cut out this thin strip of leather and I'll screw it on. I'm going to attach this back piece with screws so that you can remove them if you want to change the picture. I can cut out this really thin plastic with a razor blade. I'm going to paint the back just to give it a little bit more finished, professional look. After drying for about 24 hours, you need to condition that chalkboard paint with chalk. And this kind of gives it a more realistic look. couple of months ago on my Audible spot, I recommended a book by John McWhorter. I got another one I really want to recommend called Language A to Z, and this has become my absolute favorite audiobook of this entire year. And it's not even a book, it's recorded specifically for Audible. If there's one thing that drives me crazy, it's the grammar police, always wanting to correct our grammar. The least common form of English spoken is what is called standard English. There ain't nothing wrong with using double negatives in speech. If nothing else, it adds impact to our language. People literally use literally to just add impact to what they're saying. John McWhorter is just an absolute delight to listen to. Plus, you'll learn the origin of the phrase, "What's up, Doc?" If you haven't picked up your free audiobook from audible.com, what are you waiting for? Go over to audible.com/woodworking right now and pick out any one of over 150,000 audiobooks free. I love listening to audiobooks while I'm working in my shop, and audible.com is a great sponsor to Woodworking for Mere Mortals. Well, thank you for watching this week's episode of Woodworking for Mere Mortals. I think this was a blast to make this little picture frame. Picture frames can be a lot of fun. You can get really creative with them and come up with a theme that kind of matches whatever picture you're going to put in it. If you'd like to make your own, check in the description for a free set of plans. And if you'd like to own this particular one, I'm auctioning it off. Check down in the description on how you can place a bid. And remember, 100% of your winning bid goes to support the Make-A-Wish Foundation. Programming note, I won't have a video next week because I will be at the Woodworking in America show in North Carolina. And if you are going to the convention, plan to stop by the Mega Mimo meetup we're having at the District Rooftop Bar and Grill. All the details are also down in the description. That'll be at 6 o'clock on Saturday night. I hope to meet as many of you as possible. As always, if you enjoyed this video, please take a moment to subscribe to Woodworking for Mere Mortals. I have brand new woodworking videos every Friday on this channel, except for next Friday. And I will see you in 2 weeks. Thanks for watching, everybody. Hey, if you'd like to see last week's video, click right over here. And if you'd like to see a cool little promotional piece I did for Microjig, click right over here.
Hey Steve, this is Joe from Spartanburg, South Carolina, and I'm a Mimo and an air bike.